The St. Louis Rams had a 3-year run that will go down in history as one of the most explosive, dynamic, and memorable offenses the NFL has ever seen. And this run earned them the moniker the greatest show on turf. They were led by 4 Hall of Famers and another player who will be in the Hall soon. And this gave them an insane amount of talent. And when they combined that with the mad scientist Mike Martz, they became next to impossible to stop. For this offense, we will be looking at the formation single back, Y-off trio weak, and single back trips in the run balance playbook. Now, one of their main components is they wanted motion all over the field. This helped them create a ton of mismatches and allowed them to get their best players the ball in open space. The perfect play for us to accomplish this same thing is mesh in single back Y off trio weak, and this is an amazing play to attack man coverage. So here I have the trips to the wide side, then block your running back, then take the solo receiver and put him on a whip route. Now, once you want to snap the ball, you will have this auto motion down and he will come right in behind your slot receiver. Then as the ball is snapped, you want to look at your corner route, and I have short in a lead on this player, and as he cuts out, he will get amazing separation cutting towards the sideline, and you can throw this in for big yardage. You will see this route break off from his man coverage basically every time, and this is just going to be crazy consistent for you. Next, we have the drag from our player who motions down. This is great because he will have speed coming across the field, and the DB is already going to be trailing him, making it super hard for him to catch up before you can fire this drag in for easy yardage. Then if at the snap you see the user leave the middle to try to help with the corner route, then you'll have this tight end breaking over the middle, and this is going to get really good separation from man coverage and give you another really good option attacking the middle of the field. And lastly, for a fourth read, we have our solo side whip, and as he breaks out towards the sideline, he can be another very solid option to get easy yards. This whole offense was all led by their quarterback Kurt Warner. From bagging groceries to a few years later having multiple MVPs and a Super Bowl ring, Warner is one of the greatest underdog stories in the history of the league. Kurt was the maestro of this offense, but he was also willing to push the ball down the field and squeeze it into those tight windows, making this offense so incredibly dynamic. His best season was probably his 1999 campaign. He finished with 4,353 yards passing, 41 touchdowns, and a 109.2 QB rating. Now at this spot, I'm using Steve McNair, who has the ability to sit in the pocket and deliver the football with great accuracy just like Warner, and I have set feet lead to make sure I get extra zip on that football. Now a play that can really stress the whole field and would use Warner's ability to push it down the field is Y shallow cross. Here are the trips to the wide side, then put your running back on a Texas route. Now if you can't get RB Apprentice like I'm using in this scheme, then you can just block him. Then take your slot receiver and put him on a streak, then put the backside receiver on a drag. Now here we will have the same motion down, but now your receiver will run a post up the middle of the field. This will be our first read on this play, and if the user stays shallow, you can just fire this post in over his head and you just want to keep it in front of the safety. This route uses that same motion as our mesh play and does a great job of attacking the middle of the field. Then after the snap, if the user or the hooks get vertical and underneath your post, then you have the running back on the Texas route out of the backfield, and this is a great second option attacking over the middle of the field. This type of Texas route is something the Rams would use all of the time to put their running back in a position to make plays. Then for a check down, we have our drags over the middle. They will mesh and you can just fire it down to whichever one is more open and let them make a play in the open field. This Rams offense is part of my new series where I break down the top 5 offenses ever. And now number 5 through number 2 will each have one video, but then the number 1 offense will be a full scheme breakdown where I give you 5+ videos based around that team. Now leave a comment down below who you think is going to be the number 1 offense. Then if you want to check out all the other schemes that are out for the top 5, I will leave a link down in the description for a playlist with them all. Now the greatest show on turf offense is coming in at my number 2 greatest offense we have ever seen. It was an unprecedented run over this 3-year stretch from 1999 to 2001. They led the NFL in scoring, yards per game, and passing yards each of these 3 seasons, and they changed the way the NFL was played after their incredible run, and so much of what you see today is a callback to what the Rams ran. The X factor for this offense that no one could account for was Marshall Faulk. He was absolutely electric and is one of the most complete football players of all time. A true do-it-all back who is incredibly dangerous as a runner, but his true value came from his ability to be a receiver out of the backfield or even be split out wide and run routes and catch balls like a wide receiver. The first play we have that uses our running back in this way is PA solid corner in single back trips, and this is designed to attack man coverage. Here have your trips to the wide side, then put your your running back on a Texas route, then motion him out. And then if you don't have RB Apprentice, then you can just motion him out and then put him on a slant. Then take your tight end and put him on an out route. The first place I like to go here is the Texas route. It will give you a hard break inside and get excellent separation versus man coverage. You just want to throw this right after he breaks. This is a great way to utilize your running back in the pass game, and you can even hit this fast enough to get open before they're able to get their blitz home. Next, we want to look to our tight end, and if their man coverage gets caught inside, then you can fire it out to your tight end right away. And if you're open, rat catch it, and you can pick up some really nice yards. Then we can start to work the wide side, and we have this deep crosser that gets really nice separation, and you can just throw this in as he cuts over the middle of the field. And once again, if you have room to operate, rat catch this and make a play in the open field. Then if at the snap the user does a good job of taking the crosser and the Texas route, we want to look to our outside receiver on the trip side, and he's going to run this double move C route, and as he cuts to the sideline, he will get really nice separation. You can throw this in for another really big gain down the field, and this can even turn into a one-play score. Now you can put Falk's 3-year run up against any running back ever. He won an NFL Offensive Player of the Year in each of these 3 seasons, but his best was his 2000 campaign. He had 1,359 yards rushing, 81 receptions for 830 yards, and an insane 26 touchdowns. Now at running back, I'm using Barry Sanders, who offers a ton of the same ability. He can be a very good runner between the tackles, but he is an excellent receiver and can make some huge plays in that part of the game. Then I have running back Apprentice on him to make sure I get those extra hot routes when he's lined up at running back. Then we have the play 93 up Y option, and this is a great zone beater. Here have your trips to the wide side, and you can run this with no adjustments. Just snap the ball and you'll get this auto motion from your running back out of the backfield. Now this is basically going to turn into 4 verts, and first I want to look to the seam. If he is free, I just want to throw this once he clears in over the linebackers, but make sure you put it in front of the safety coming over the top. This works so well because this is such a spread look, and this is going to really open up that alley for this seam. Then if the seam is covered, we have this deep crosser from the inside receiver, and he will get in behind the flat defender, and the running back will run off the deep blue defender and give you a great hole to drop this in down the field. Then for a check down, we have the option route from our tight end, and he will sit down versus zone, and if everyone is dropping out under our deeper routes, then you can just give it to him underneath. Now if you want to unlock even more for this scheme, you need to check out my website, Scheme Kings. Up right now is part 2 of this Ram scheme, where I break down 8 more plays to give you so many more options to attack your opponent in this Ram scheme. And this is really one of the most fun offenses I have used all year. Then up on Scheme Kings are all of my past schemes, like my ultimate mobile QB offense and my Alabama Nick Saban defense, and the rest of my top 5 offenses like the 2013 Broncos and the 2011 Saints. Use code TOP5 at checkout for 50% off your first month. So if you want to check out Scheme Kings, I will leave a link for it down in the description below. The offense's designer and play caller for the Rams was Mike Martz. He was a disciple of the great Don Coryell and the Air Coryell offense, and he brought a ton of this vertical passing game to St. Louis. They wanted to stress the defense down the field and make them cover every blade of grass. And the receiver who Martz loved to use in this role was Torrey Holt. He was an incredible athlete who could get down the field and was a constant big play threat, and the D always had to be aware of where he lined up on the field. His 2000 season was his best. He had 82 receptions for 1,635 yards, and he racked up an insane 19.9 yards per reception. For our offense, he will be an outside receiver, and for my 2 outside spots, I have Calvin Johnson and Jerry Rice, both excellent receivers who have the speed and athleticism to make plays all over the field just like Torrey. And the perfect play to accomplish this downfield passing attack is inside cross and single back Y off trio weak. Here have your trips to the wide side, then take your solo receiver, motion him in, and put him on a streak. And first we want to check our deep post. You will see the deep zone players will get pulled back by the streak, and then right as this post is breaking in over the middle of the field, you just want to rifle this in. This is great against single high cover 3 zone defenses. The safety will just get backed off, and your post will cut right inside of his deep third defender, and you can get a huge explosive play down the field. Then if you drop back and the post isn't there, we have this deep dig attacking the middle, and if the flats and user get pulled down, then this is a great option for a really nice gain over the middle. Then for the check downs, we have a tight end on the drag and the running back out of the backfield. They will go to either flat, and you can just pick whichever one and just fire it in and let them make a play underneath. Then their other big time receiver was Isaac Bruce. He is a Hall of Famer and one of the most underrated consistent players ever. He was a great underneath option for the Rams, making all those tough contested catches, but don't get it twisted. He was a big play threat and could take the top off the defense and burn you deep. His best season was in 2000, and he racked up 87 receptions for 1,338 68 yards and 9 touchdowns. Now, our slot player who plays like Bruce is another Rams legend in Cooper Kupp. I also have short and elite on him to make sure he can easily separate versus man coverage. Now, a great zone beating play that attacks the middle of the field is our PA solid corner setup in single back trips. To set this up, have the trips to the wide side, then put your tight end on a streak and put your backside receiver on a drag. Now, as you snap the ball, we will get this play action fake, and here we want to be able to pull down the user. And if you can, we'll have the Z post over the middle. That is a really good route. Just make sure you drop this in front of the safety. You can also go to this route if after the snap, the user starts to run with the crosser, then you can just throw this Z post in behind him for a really nice gain. Then if after the snap, the user starts to run to the middle to take the Z post, you will have this deep crosser getting in behind their zone coverage that you can fire in along the sideline for a really nice gain. Then lastly, we have our drag coming from the wide side of the field, and if they are overplaying deep, then this is just a great third option to pick up yards underneath. The greatest show on turf is one of the best offenses ever, but if you want to check out the highest scoring team of all time and a team that broke countless other records on its way to be one of the most iconic offenses we have ever seen, then you need to click on this video right here and check out my number 3 offense of all time, the 2013 Denver Broncos.